Okay, so a couple hours ago, I watched Elemental. So I want to go ahead and talk about it, but before I talk about it, I want to talk about the short that came with it. I don't remember exactly what it was called. I think it was called, like, Carl has a date, Carl goes on a date, something like that. But it's an Up short. It's actually a sequel to the film Up. I remember, like, right before it aired, I was like, hey, this is gonna have a short, right? It's a Pixar movie. It's got to. I wonder what the short's gonna be about. It's an Up sequel. What the fuck? I didn't say that loudly. There were other people in the theater. I was like, I did not expect that. Short version. Yeah, like another elderly woman is on the phone with Carl. She asks him out, and he's like, like I said yes. I probably shouldn't have done that. Oh man, like I haven't been on a date in years. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And there's that little bit of, like, he's nervous, he's excited, and there's also that part of him that's like, am I being unfaithful to my wife? I mean, she's been gone for so long, but it feels wrong. And the only other character to appear in the short, like, you hear the woman's voice a couple times, and you also hear Alpha, who's now called Beta. You hear his voice a couple times, but the other major character to appear is Doug. And Doug, just trying to be a good dog, making his master happy, encourage him, but also be like, dude, you're being a little bit weird even for you. Like, this is probably what you should do. You should be like a duck. You should sniff her butt. You should give her a gift and she will wag her tail. And, I'm going to say something really controversial. I understand this is a hot take. Luckily for me, it's not super fucking hot in my car right now. But this is a take that's probably about as hot as my car normally is. I don't like the movie Up. I will say it. I want to do a Pixar tier list with Clay relatively soon. Up is going to get a really high grade because Clay loves that movie. Basically everyone does. I don't. And watching this short reminded me of why. I love Carl's character. The start of the movie, when it's just him and Ellie, is beautiful. It is gorgeous. It is like the best Pixar short film they have ever made. The part when it is just him living alone, and you've got the people trying to buy his house, and he is dealing with them. I love it. I'm super invested. I remember we were rewatching it for a Pixar marathon. I was like, why do I not care for this movie? This is fantastic. Then the sidekicks get introduced. I don't really like Russell that much. I don't like Doug. I don't really care for Kevin. Are they awful? No, but they just don't do it for me. I am a cat person. Like, having actually had dogs for the past 10 years or so, I'm like, I don't really like them that much. And that's just what Doug is. This is a dog. This is the platonic ideal of a dog in its purest form. And if you love dogs, I saw this bit. If you love dogs, you probably really like Doug. If you don't like dogs, maybe you still like the character, maybe you don't, but I'm not a dog person. I don't care for this. And it's like, this movie was amazing, and now it's fine. Now it's good. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie. I just don't like it. And this short really was just, yeah, there's a reason I love parts of this movie. There's also a reason why I don't. I feel like most people are going to like the short, though, because it's Up. Most people love this movie. But I felt like I had to go ahead and talk about the short. But now let's talk about the movie proper. So normally what I do is when a movie is in theaters, I do a no spoiler, mild spoiler, full spoiler, kind of breakdown of it. I'm not going to do that for Elemental, so I'm just going to say right now, full spoilers the entire way. Part of that is, if I'm being honest, and I know this sounds really cynical, this sounds really snobby, it sounds really assholey, but once you know what the movie is about, which we'll get to in a second, nothing's really gonna take you by surprise. It is, first off, it is a love story. It is like an actual honest-to-God romance movie, which I was kind of thinking about. It's like, Pixar doesn't do that a lot, do they? They might have a movie with romance in it, like, okay, Ratatouille. You have Linguini and, what was, I think Claire was the name of the female chef. There's a romance in the movie. Ratatouille's not a romance. You do have Mr. Incredible and Mrs. Incredible in both Incredibles movies, and the movie is like, their relationship is important, but I feel like the first Incredibles movie is about a man going through a midlife crisis more than it is about his romance, although, of course, his relationship with his wife is incredibly important. You've got A Bug's Life, where Flick's identity and not feeling like he's really part of the colony, and him dealing with that shit, and also, fighting the grasshoppers, like, that's important too. It's like, there is a romance between him and Ada, but to me, it's not the big thing in the movie. The only other Pixar movie, to me, that's like, this is a romance, this is a love story, is WALL-E. And WALL-E is also a movie about the environment and, all that shit too. But that's the other love story, and it's a fucking good one. Like, I love WALL-E, man. Well, I can't wait till we do our Pixar tier list. I don't know when that shit's coming. We'll be like, to be fair, we're like, okay, S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier. That one's okay. S tier, S tier, S tier. Anyway, but getting to the point, this one is a romance. And if you've watched romance movies, you know what the formula is. Boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. Or, depending on the movie, maybe it's boy doesn't get girl back, but like, boy learns something about himself. Which, this is more girl meets boy, girl falls in love with boy, because Ember is our main character, and then Wade is our other main character, but we mostly follow Ember. And, yeah, I mean, it does the formula. Their third act breakup was, to me, very, like, it's okay. I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied. Their actual interactions and their romance, I bought. I liked it. I found myself, I like these two. I like their chemistry together. This is good. The third act breakup was a bit, I get what they're going for. I buy it, but it's a bit weaker, but I mean, to be fair, I tend to not really care for third act breakups that much. I find it, again, might be very snobby and assholey, but I find it very rare. I'm like, oh, this makes sense to me. I buy that these two would break up, and I buy that these two would get back together, and it doesn't feel like rushed, contrived bullshit. This one, it doesn't do it awfully, but it's fine in that regard. The other thing that this movie is about an immigrant family coming to Element City, being established for, like, this is about the second generation, and a lot of the things that it entails passing down traditions. It entails, passing on, not just the tradition, but like passing down the family shop. It involves prejudice that goes both ways. You've got the prejudice that the immigrant family endures from the locals, but also the prejudice that they internalize to other people. And in that regard, the movie reminds me a lot of Zootopia. I don't think it's as good as Zootopia. I don't think it handles those issues quite as well as Zootopia, or I don't want to say as nuanced, because I feel like this movie does still have some of that, but if you've seen our Disney tier list, I don't know why I tried to say Disney tier list, it's like, that's not right. But if you've seen that video, I guess the last one that Zootopia is part of, you would know it is my favorite animated Disney movie. Excluding my Pixar and shit. It is my absolute peak, creme de la creme, double S, mwah, mwah, mwah. I fucking love that movie. So the fact that this movie reminds me a lot of Zootopia, that can either be a good thing or a bad thing. For me, it's a good thing, because I feel like it does that well. I feel like it does it well enough, but not quite as good. But just some of the, I kind of wrote down to me, it's like, what are all the similarities? So you've got, it's a city built upon the premise of cohesion, but is not actually free from prejudice. You've got two opposites working together to solve a problem. Here it's fire and water, and the other one it's predator and prey. The two become close, and as they work together to solve the problem, as they develop their friendship, they start to discover and kind of overcome their own prejudices. And the red one, the red one also has internalized, some of their prejudice due to childhood trauma or like a traumatic incident from their childhood. Now, yeah, a lot of those are kind of very surface level I'm sorry, I don't know why my brain keeps fucking stopping mid-sentence. It's starting to get a little hot in here. Thank God it's not as hot as it was this morning. Whoops, my bad. Give me a quick second to, I guess, get my chakras together. Let's try talking again. Yes, I understand a lot of these similarities with Zootopia are, just kind of, they're pretty broad. They're there, but I don't feel like this movie is derivative. I think that's what I'm trying to get to. This does not feel like Pixar said, shit, we now have to make Zootopia 2. We have to make Zootopia 2.0. They're similar, but they still feel very different. And I did appreciate that. Okay, so the thing I really want to talk about, because I guess I've been talking for almost 11 minutes and haven't gotten to the thing I really want to talk about, the visuals. Going into this movie, I said to myself, I think at best, the story and characters are going to be fine. I think I'll like it, but I won't really love it, which I will admit to being wrong about. Like, I liked Ember a lot. I fucking love Wade. This man is like my spirit animal. It's like, this dude is so likable, so fucking dorky. This dude is me if I was made of water. Like, I have to say I was wrong about that because I like them a lot. But what I thought I was going to love, the reason I wanted to see this movie and see it on the big screen was because of the visuals. The little bits we get in the trailers, like, this looks really fun. This looks really creative. Like, you've got the scene of Ember, like, dancing across these, like, rocks, and she changes color every time. Like, that's super pretty. You've got Wade fucking surfing and making a rainbow. Even like the little thing of him touching a sponge, because that is like a little baby Wade, like touching a sponge and just getting absorbed into it. That's pretty funny, but I kind of like the idea. And the part that really sold me visually is, you've seen it in the trailer, it's when he's eating the spicy food and his body is like contorting in pain and he like breathes out a bubble of like heat and his own torture, and the bubble just screams. Like, that's really creative. That's really fucking cool. And I'm happy to say, at least for me personally, it's not like the movie showed all the cool shit in the trailers and the rest of it is just boring visually. The movie brings it. Another part that I've seen in the trailer, which I kind of appreciate a bit more in the movie, is when they're doing the wave in a sports arena. It's like, yeah, let's do the wave. And a bunch of water guys just go, and it goes all the way around. Like, I fucking love sports. So just seeing that was really fun. They're also like playing, they're playing basketball, but the way it's being played, I'm like, are they just fucking playing blitzball from Final Fantasy X? Okay, I wasn't expecting this, but I dig it. There's a part really early on where it shows a blimp and it's got a bunch of air people in it. And then as they leave, it deflates, and then it goes to like the next level, and then a bunch of air people come in, and then it reinflates. Like, that's really cool. There's a scene with Ember like making a hot air balloon, so she just takes a bunch of shit, like starts burning the metal in the glass so she can meld it together, makes it a hot air balloon, and then her own literal heat from her body is what's like bringing the balloon up. Like, that's fucking cool. Anytime she and Wade get close together, his skin just starts to ripple and boil because she is literally fire and she is that hot. That's really cool. I'm going to be saying that a lot. I'm noticing I'm saying that a lot. But like, yeah, that's really cool. It's really clever. It's creative. It's what I feel like so many visuals in the movie are at least one of those three, and I fucking dig it. I wrote a couple more down. What does that even say? What does that say? Okay, sorry. Took me a second. So some of the things, it's just like some of the shit you see them doing in their shop, like the way they will take logs, like take wood, and just kind of crush it together and make it into food. Which, yeah, the idea of fire people eating wood as like their fuel, as their food, that's a pretty creative idea. I mean, it's not super creative because it makes sense. I'm like, I think that's a clever idea. I do appreciate that. This is spoilery, so I will give a quick countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. At the end of the movie, Wade evaporates. He ends up getting, it makes sense in context, but he basically ends up getting trapped in a giant oven, and then he is just gone. And there's a part where Ember afterwards is talking about him. She's like, but like, Mom, like, I loved him. I genuinely did. And then you can hear him crying, which is so in character. This man cries all the time. And it's like, I love him. Like, I can't say that enough. I fucking love Wade. but you hear him cry, and then a little bit of liquid, like, falls down into a bucket from the roof, like, from the ceiling. And then Ember starts saying things that she knows can make him cry and get him emotional. And then so the way they save his life is by turning him from gas into liquid, by making him cry. That makes so much fucking sense to me, and I don't even know if I would have come up with that. It's like, to me, that's a really creative and clever idea. That's so fucking cool. I love this. Holy shit. But the best visuals in the movie, to me, are anytime Ember is glass blowing. It's not something I've really looked into in the real world, but anytime I've seen videos, like images of people working with glass, it's so fucking pretty. I love it. And that is like her kind of hidden talent in the movie. It's not even hidden, because it's something that you do see quite a few times throughout the movie before they really call attention to. It's like, hey, you're really good at this. Like, you can do it really quickly. You can make really beautiful patterns. And anytime she does it, as I like to just call it glass bendings, like this is some Avatar shit, and I'm all for it. It looks incredible. I loved it. The other thing I want to talk about is I feel like there is something from this movie that I will actually take with me and might stick with me for a while. Yes, the visuals are great. Yes, you can tell where the movie is going, both from like the immigration, I'm trying to say immigrants and immigration at the same time. The immigration angle as well as the romance angle, but I still feel like they're well done. I still feel like they're interesting. Okay, there's one part that made me fucking cringe, intentionally so. It reminded me a lot of the fucking shit from Get Out, like, hey, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could. There's a scene where Wade takes Ember to meet his family. It's like his mom, his uncles, his brothers and shit. And one of them is talking to Ember, and they say, it's something along the lines of, wow, I just have to say, you speak language you speak language good. Like, because I don't remember if they specifically said English. I don't remember if they said our language. So I'll just say English. I'm going to say language because of how weird that sounded. But like, you speak language so well. You are so well spoken. You are so eloquent. You speak so clearly. And she's like, yeah, it's amazing what happens if you, spend your whole life speaking a language. And then the guy who says it afterwards just has that, he's just kind of like, shit, I said something racist. Like, when she first gets there are a lot of lines where I'm like, is that racist? Am I supposed to be confused as to whether that's racist in this world or not? I'm not sure. This is giving me Get Out vibes, and I'm kind of all for it, but I wasn't expecting it, but I'm surprised I wasn't expecting it. But now that it's here, I'm like, no, this makes sense. This tracks. But regardless, I had to bring that up. But the thing in the movie that I feel like I will actively take with me. So Ember's big character flaw is she has a terrible temper, which the fact that it usually happens when she's dealing with customers while working in retail, I think is really funny, and I think is something a lot of people probably relate to. But it is something that bothers her. And she has a conversation with Wade, and he's like, well, I've had problems with my anger in the past. I've had temper tantrums. I've had temper outbursts. To me, what it means when I lose my temper, it's essentially I'm trying to tell me something and I'm not listening to it. And it's the fact, like, I'm telling myself something I don't want to hear, and I don't want to hear it so badly, I just start yelling and I freak out. And, kind of being more aware of that has kind of helped me with my own emotional maturity. And, maybe that's something for you too. And that is a big thing. Ember, her whole life, she wants to take over the shop. But her whole life, whenever she is put in charge and has to deal with people, it doesn't work. And you can make the argument that it's like, it's also just kind of showing anxiety, which is, it's something I kind of took out of it too, and I did enjoy that angle. But what the movie plot-wise is saying is that the reason you lose your temper when dealing with people is not because people are idiots, although that helps. It is because you don't really want to work in the shop. You kind of want to do something else. Like, okay, that's fine. But that is an interesting concept to me. It's like, okay. I have lost my temper before. It literally happened fucking yesterday, so I'll tell that story. And it's like, okay, this is the story. What was I trying to tell myself? So what happened was my family was out of town, so they wanted me to go take care of the dog. Just something really simple. Let her outside, make her use the bathroom. Not make her, you lead a course to water and shit. But it's like, let her outside, see if she goes. She doesn't, okay, can you come back maybe in a few hours? Just, make sure she gets some time outside, doesn't poop or pee in the house. Sure, fine, no issue. So I let her out around like 1:30, 2 o'clock-ish. Dog is out for a while, but she doesn't go. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll let them know. They want me to come back, fine. So I go to my car, and because this house is out in like the bumfuck middle of nowhere, there's a lot of bugs. So I see this bug on my door, and I'm like, okay, but I need to go home. So I open my door, and you know how when you open your door, there's a hole in the hinges? Like, here, let me show. So this is door. So I opened it, and in like this spot right here where my finger is, I hope you were able to see that. If not, I'm gonna feel like such an asshole. But like, when I open the door, there's that hole in the hinges, it fucking flies in through there. It's like this big. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's a wasp, because there are wasps that live out there. It sounded like one. A wasp fucking flies into my car. I don't like bugs. I don't like wasps. I don't like bugs, wasps, or anything that can sting me. Not only do I not want to be stung because I don't want to get hurt, I don't want to be fucking stung while I'm driving because I don't want something to get me. I get kind of like, fuck, and react and end up swerving into something. Now, is that super likely to happen outside of a cartoon? Probably not. But I don't want to risk it, and it's just unpleasant. So what follows, speaking of cartoons, is some dumbass shenanigans of me hopping out of a car, turning the car on, lowering a window, turning the car off, grabbing my keys so I don't lock myself out of the car, praying that this thing leaves, seeing it's not leaving, grabbing a stick, trying to hit it with the stick so it leaves. It does, but then it comes back in the car again. I'm getting angry. This is when I'm losing my temper. I'm like, I just want to go home. I came out here to help. I was in the middle of something, and I came out here, and the dog didn't even do what she was supposed to do, which is annoying, but it's not the end of the world kind of thing. But then this shit happens, and I just want to go home. I was writing, I was on a roll, I want to this stupid fucking bug. So what was I trying to tell myself? What is the truth I didn't want to hear? For me, my interpretation, which is a weird thing to say when talking about myself. What's your interpretation of the moral of yesterday's episode? I hate bugs. But it's okay, if there's something to take from that, it's what bothered me was how something as small as a bug, how something as small as a wasp was derailing my afternoon. And how I felt powerless to really do anything about it. And maybe I should have just gotten in the car, said, fuck it. I'm not going to let this minor thing ruin my day. I'm not going to let this minor thing ruin my afternoon or ruin my plans. But I did. And that's what was really bothering me. And okay, that makes sense. So maybe this is something that can have some value. Next time I am getting super mad and my temper's going crazy because I'm getting my ass kicked in Street Fighter 6, which I haven't gotten yet. But I'm looking forward to it. It looks really cool. It looks really fun. I'll probably try to get it when my tax returns come in, because one of them was pretty late. Hopefully in a week or so. Be okay. Why am I losing my temper? Because I'm getting my ass kicked. Because I keep trying to do Dragon Punch, but instead I can't fucking pull it off because my cerebral palsy makes my fine motor skills ass. Okay. So what are you trying to tell yourself? What I'm trying to tell myself is that I suck at this, and I don't like that I suck at this, and I should either stop for the day or I should actively try to improve, but I can't. It's like, but it just makes me mad. Because, this is shit that has happened with other fighting games. It's not like I'm just completely making up bullshit. This happens in Skullgirls. This has happened in Smash Bros. It's going to happen in Street Fighter. But the fact that there is something from this movie I feel like I can genuinely take and apply to my life is something I appreciate. It's something I definitely respect. That's like if we are doing a tier list, which Clay has not seen it, so it'll just be my placement for this particular movie. We still haven't seen Lightyear. We're going to have to get that done. I really don't want to watch Lightyear. But regardless, this is the kind of thing that this alone, but for me, would put it in B tier. But I feel like even though the plot was something I could pretty much predict where it was going, I still liked the characters enough. I don't even want to say enough, because I genuinely liked them. I liked the characters. I liked the romance. I liked some of the nuances in the relationships, and I loved the visuals. Now, this is Pixar, where these are some of the best animated movies I've ever seen. I don't think this is quite up there with some of those just 10 out of 10 movies. To me, it's on the level of Toy Story, Monsters, Inc., Incredibles, Inside Out, Ratatouille. I feel like I'm missing one. I know there's a lot. WALL-E. I feel like I said Monsters, Inc., but I'm not sure if I did. Cars 3. Cars 3, I don't know if I would quite put an S. That's a good question, actually, because Cars 3 was amazing. But anyways, point. To me, it's not an S-tier movie. I think it's a very strong A-tier movie. It's really interesting to me how this movie is just getting mixed reviews. And I'm like, but that's what I was expecting from the trailers. But having watched it, I'm like, really? I left feeling very positive. But at the same time, if a 7 out of 10 is mixed, then I think that's fair. To me, it'd probably be about I'd probably go more in an 8 out of 10. I don't know if I would quite go a 9, but eh. But overall, I know I've rambled a lot. I know I've gone on some tangents, and there have been times when my brain has just stopped. But after 27 minutes of rambling, yes, I liked the movie. Yes, I'm very glad I saw it in theaters to just enjoy the visuals. I notice I keep doing this with my hands. I hope you go see it, and if you do, I hope you enjoy it. If you see it on my recommendation and you don't like it, I'm sorry you wasted your money. But genuinely, I had a good time, and if you do choose to see it, I hope you do the same.